Don't stop feasting on the flavor of urban conservative talk. Go to exceptionalconservativeshow.com. There you can Facebook us, tweet us through Twitter, download our podcast and our mobile app. Listen, take us wherever you go. Welcome to the best in urban conservative talk, live from the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show with your host, Ken McClinton.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Pledge of Allegiance to the flag is a pledge to the ideals of our forefathers, the men who fought and died in the building of this great nation. It's a pledge to fulfill our duties and obligations as citizens of the United States and to uphold the principles of our Constitution. And last but not least, it's a pledge to maintain the four great freedoms cherished by all Americans: freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom from want, and freedom from fear. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to present you the most influential conservative urban talk show in the world. Now I'll go all the way out and say that. Listen, we're not ashamed of the good news of conservatism. What is the power of liberation? First to the Republicans, then to the Democrats. Yours truly, Kevin McClinton, at the helm of this particular vessel for the evening, comforted by the fact that Mrs. Biggs is watching me via live stream. And, of course, my bouncer, Mary Brockman, in the chat role at SHR, holding down the fort. If you diss her, you diss me, and you will be dismissed. Ladies and gentlemen, I must tell you, I am overwhelmed. I can think of only the song by Big Daddy Weave, I am overwhelmed. With all of the cards, with all of the calls, with all of the encouragement, the prayers around the world, thank you. I don't have enough hugs, I don't have enough kisses, If I were God and I could be in all places at all times, I would give you both a hug and a kiss and thank you for extending so many prayers. I am just overwhelmed and ever thankful. I want to thank my wife for holding up for over a week as we finally had a chance to breathe today, to get some oxygen. God bless that woman. For those who came all the way, the underground professor, Dr. Michael Jones, who flew in from Dallas, Fort Worth, thank you. For Rick Trader, and who came in from Delaware with Mary, his wife, with Kevin Wade and Gail Wade coming in from Delaware, from the ministers that came in from Syracuse, New York. I mean, we were inundated with all of your love and joy and your encouragement to us as we encourage you, and we just thank you. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time and don't know what I'm talking about, my wife was my daughter, Shanice Milton, was savagely murdered on the streets of Washington, D.C. And of course, many people were attempting to find something wrong. Maybe she was prostituting. Maybe she was involved with the gangs. Maybe, no, my girl was a good girl. She was just doing her job, coming home from doing an assignment on Capitol Hill when she was used as a human shield by a gang member to prevent a bullet from another gang member from entering hell. And if I ever get the permission of my wife, I would love to show you the picture of how my daughter looked. The sadness, the grimace, the sense of being alone and in pain and isolated because the people she loved were too far away to get to her. I wish I could show you that picture. I have been told not to, but that's okay. Some people have critiqued me regarding my comments at the funeral, and that too is okay. Some people have critiqued the fact that I'm coming back on the air on Monday night, and I'm okay with that. It is well with my soul. But I want you all to understand, without a shadow of a doubt, you don't have to call me patriot. You don't have to call me conservative. You don't have to call me anything, even a child of God. But I believe the Lord has given me a mission on this earth, a purpose. One, to see that my daughter's killers are brought to justice, in this case resolved. And two, to instill liberty and freedom in inner cities across the country. One of the reasons I come to you tonight, because there's another hardcore brother in the faith who believes the same way I do, Pastor Corey Brooks. He'll be joining me in about 2 minutes, 2 seconds. And we will be talking about the need for a spiritual reformation, not a spiritual revival, not another tent, but a spiritual reformation in the inner city. And also a need to begin switching voters away from the party of death and destruction to the party of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When we come back, we'll be speaking with Pastor Corey Brooks on real inner city change. And he will not be the last. I want to tell you right now, on Thursday night, Dr. Brooks Robinson will be joining me, and we will be talking about the real numbers. The numbers that they don't want to give you. The real numbers behind black-on-black crime. We'll be back. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Revolting Truth. This is the United States of America. after the Obama administration removed the borders. Right here, somewhere, a humanitarian crisis is unfolding as tens of thousands of Central American children come streaming into the place where our country used to be. The invasion was incited by President Obama's threats to grant these children amnesty with just a phone and a pen that he'll use to cross out the sections of the Constitution that limit his powers. Now, many fear that flooding the nation with confused, terrified juveniles who have no notion of American customs or laws is an attempt to expand the Democrat voter base, since confused, terrified juveniles with no notion of American customs or laws is actually a definition of the Democrat voter base. But we here at The Revolting Truth are determined to get the facts. So today, through the miracle of Chocovision, we're going to interview one of these poor, lost children. Well, my little friend, and how old are you?
11.
11 years old.
From Central America.
I see. And what country in Central America are you from?
Huh?
Are you from Guatemala, San Salvador?
Yes, Guatemala, San Salvador. That is my country in Central America.
Right. You know, as much as we sympathize with your plight, little fella, many of us fear that so many unchecked refugees might bring diseases with them.
I have no diseases.
Really?
Allah has healed my malady with his magic powers.
Great. Of course, there's still the problem that we can't care for so many unskilled newcomers.
I have many skills.
Like what?
I can fly a plane, and I can build a nuclear device out of paper clips and a plastic bag.
Wow. Still, don't all countries have the right and the need to protect their borders?
Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do.
I see, like the John Lennon song, nothing to kill or die for.
Except jihad.
Oh, boy.
You wouldn't happen to have a plastic bag on you, would you?
No.
You may say I'm a dreamer.
This is Andrew Klavan with The Revolting Truth.
But I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world can live as one.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, we do.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are making the phone call now for the Brooks for our 9 o'clock interview.
Hello.
Good evening. You are live on the Exceptional Conservative Show. Pastor Corey Brooks.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. How about yourself?
Doing well indeed, sir. It is a great honor and privilege to have you here tonight, sir. You are changing the world.
Well, I'm trying to do my part.
And that's what all of us have to do. Indeed. Listen, you are a graduate of Ball State University. You've gone on to divinity school, and then you decided after all of that stuff to seed yourself into Chicago, Illinois. Why, sir, when there's so many other places you could have been?
Well, you know, Chicago has a great need. There's so many people who are looking for direction, looking for guidance, and there seems to be a spot for me. And I tell people all the time that I feel led to be in Chicago. I feel called to be in Chicago, and I'm grateful that God placed me here. It's the center of what's going on in America, and so I have a great opportunity to do a lot of work to help a lot of people.
And you have, and listen, you and I both are beginning to get a number of concerns about our opinions in urban America. It was cute when it was just one or two of us, but now there seems to be a growing call for changes in the inner city. Now, I know you have built your community center with government funds and government handouts, right?
Absolutely not. We don't do government funds. We don't do government handouts. It's our goal to run our whole program without any government assistance. It gets difficult at times, but we stretch it, we make it work, And I tell people when you don't have enough money, you have to be creative. So we're really creative in our programs. We're really creative about what we do. But one of the things that we are sure about is that we don't want to have government assistance, and we don't want to have government all in our business about what we're trying to do to help the community. So we try to stay away from government funds, and we try to just work really hard and rely on the contributions of people. And people have been very generous thus far, and it's been very much appreciated.
Now, your church has done a tremendous thing recently. There is a young lady who was killed. Am I correct? And you all are supporting the family. Can you tell us all about that?
Well, there was, in our neighborhood, there's a lot of killings, and unfortunately, a lot of black-on-black crime with young black men killing young black men. But in this incident, there was a young lady who was coming back from, I don't know if they were coming back from a dinner, but, they were coming back from the lake, I believe. And she was in the car with 3 other people. Another car drove up and just started shooting at the car. All the individuals were hit. However, she was the only one who was killed. And as a result of that, we're making sure that we assist that family by putting out a reward of $10,000 to try to capture the individuals who were guilty of that. And then, there's been other shootings as well that we participated in giving rewards for as well.
Exactly. You have been a cornerstone in that community, but you're not getting the maxim. You're not getting the writing, but you and I are both getting threats. Can you tell everyone across America what type of threats you have been getting since last year?
Well, we get a lot of threats, and there are a lot of people who don't like the fact that we're bringing attention to the Democratic way of doing things in our neighborhood, and that we've been under this rule of Democrats for so long, and that we end up with the short end of the stick. We've got the worst schools, we got high employment, we got major crime, destruction of the family, and so on and so on and so on it goes. But when you start speaking against that, and you start saying things that are unpopular, people don't like it. And so as a result, we've gotten threats. We get mailings. We get phone calls. I even this past election, our governor's race, had to take my family and go into hiding because of the nature of the threats. And so, gratefully and thankfully, we survived it, and we're going to continue to survive. But we're not going to be detoured, and we're not going to let things like that stop us from speaking out.
Now, what exactly are you speaking out against? Are you speaking out against global warming? Are you speaking out against the illicit war in the Middle East? What exactly, sir, is drawing such great ire from across the aisle and in our neighborhoods towards you?
The main thing is we're telling people, hey, listen, for over 50 years we've been loyal to the Democratic Party, and as a result of that, we've ended up with some things in our neighborhoods that just should not be. We have the highest rate of unemployment than most neighborhoods. We have some of the worst schools in the country. We had about 50 schools that were recently closed as a result of poor budgets, and most of those schools were predominantly African-American schools. We have a crime that is just outrageous. It makes it very difficult for children to even walk to a corner store with there being so much violence. And then there's a drug epidemic. And when you have all of these things in areas that, for the most part, in inner cities across America that have been ran by Democrats, then we need to look at the policies and we need to look at the party and let them know we're not going to tolerate just continuing to do the same old thing. And so we've been telling people, listen, we need to awaken, we need to alert, and we need to become more attentive to the fact that there is another party, and that's the Republican Party, and we should not shun them. We should approach them, and we should be open to their way of doing things. And because a lot of the Republican views, whether people like it or not, they resonate with African Americans. The problem has been that we have for far too long just overlooked the Republican Party, and the Republican Party has overlooked us as well. that we haven't communicated our thoughts and we haven't communicated with one another. But that day is changing, and we've got to do better, and we're going to do better because we need a difference of opinion. We cannot continue to go down the same old road.
We are talking tonight with Pastor, forgive me, Corey Brooks from the New Beginnings Church of Chicago. But you also have a New Beginnings Church in Atlanta, Georgia. Am I correct?
Yes, we have a New Beginnings Church in Atlanta, Georgia. We also have a New Beginnings Church in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and we are coming to a city near you.
Awesome. Awesome. Now you're picking the inner city, man. Don't you know that there's enough Jesus already in the inner city? You know, what's another church going to do that's going to change how people see the inner city?
Well, we need some contemporary, creative, credible, and conservative churches in the inner city. We've got enough liberal churches. We got enough liberal policies. We need some people who are conservative in their viewpoints and they stand on those viewpoints. We need some people who are not just going to kowtow to the government, but who are going to be resilient and stand in the face of government. And we need people who understand that we need to start looking into helping people understand choice and having options as it relates to school. And so I believe that the church is a major component to help do all of those things. We just can't be a church that's sitting inside the four walls, but we got to start communicating and alerting our people to what's going on. And so we need churches that are awake and alert and conservative as well.
Now, there are those, and I face that here in Washington, D.C., that would as soon hear a conservative pastor as they would like him to be invited to the next KKK convention. Exactly what is the response that you're getting, first from your congregation, because I love that picture of yours that says that lions don't need to heed the opinion of the sheep. But what is the congregation saying to you, and what is the community saying to you of your peers and the religious grouping?
Well, it's several things. You know, number one, I've put in a lot of labor, a lot of work, and a lot of love into the community. So there's no doubt that people can say whatever they want to, but one thing they do know is that Corey Brooks is very compassionate and very concerned about the community. I've put in a lot of work. So there are people who understand that and they acknowledge that. My church, they understand my heart. They've been with me. We've planted the church. We started the church over 15 years. And even though we did lose quite a few members as a result of me saying, look, we're going to be conservative in our approach to doing things, and this is what we're going to believe, this is what we're going to stay to. So you do lose some people. But the great thing about it is it's strengthened our church because now we have a group of people who we are really solid about what we believe and why we believe it. So we've had some good response, but we've had a lot of negative response too from people really not understanding and just being so traditionally locked into the way of doing things with Democratic Party, and that's just the way it should be for some people in their philosophy. And for those individuals, they really tend to get upset with us a lot.
Yeah. Now, I want you to go as far because I have gone and I have received a great deal of ire from ministers who just have fallen in love with the idolatry of progressive religion. And I'm going to ask you, sir, we have faith, and then we have the progressive religion. And somehow we have built all into the progressive religion, Planned Parenthood and everything else in churches, reproductive health in churches, things of that nature. Is there a message for those churches, number one? And number two, what is the pastor who's listening to us on the down low in our inner cities to my program tonight, what encouragement would you give him for what you've done?
Well, I would tell any pastor that, number one, you got to stand on the word of God, and you got to if you're gonna preach it and believe it, then stand on it and don't waver. We're living in a day and time in our society where people want us to bow to their way of doing things. But I'm reminded of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that even when King Nebuchadnezzar wanted them to bow down to his music, these three guys refused to bow. Even though everybody in the province was bowing, they didn't bow. And so I want to encourage pastors not to bow to the music of the day and not to bow to the way of doing things, but to stand strong in the Lord. And I believe that God will strengthen you and send you. And one of the things that I've found out that's been amazing is that even though we've lost some people and we've lost some things, we've gained so many new friends and we've gained so many new open doors as a result of just standing on what we believe and standing on the Word of God and saying this is what we believe, and we're not going to go beyond that. God has sent people that we had never even known, and it's been a wonderful journey and it's been a wonderful thing, but I'm glad that we're standing strong, and I want to encourage all the other pastors to do the same.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Pastor, Washington, D.C. is known for all its bureaucracy and corruption. I pray to God that of the churches and cities that you're looking at in terms of expanding to, that Washington, D.C. is one of those, because your voice and your time is now, and people need to hear your voice, a clarion voice in this particular day of white noise. I want to ask you in terms of spiritual reformation, what is it in terms of the inner city, and how will people know it when they hear it and see it?
Well, I tell people when it comes to spiritual reformation and transformation, that at the end of the day, government can change laws, but they can't change hearts. And what we need in inner cities all across America is a change of heart, and that only comes by way of Jesus Christ. And so my hope and prayer is that the church will become more alert and that we'll begin to be more advantageous in our approach as far as it relates to sharing the Lord, because we need generations to change. And the only way that's going to happen is that people must have a change of heart. And so I believe that when we start seeing change of heart across the country, especially in inner cities, we're going to see a revival. We're going to see a revolution. We're going to see transformation, and people are going to be turned back to the Lord. And so my desire and passion is to be a part of that movement, to help create that movement of young people being turned back to God. That's what it's really going to take.
Tonight we are talking with Pastor Corey Brooks, who is the pastor of New Beginnings Church in Chicago and Atlanta, and I pray to God to a city near you, an inner city near you. This voice has got to be heard. It's not just my voice. It's not just Lonnie Poindexter. It's not just Ralph Chittum, Pastor Corey Brooks, and there's so many other voices that are awakening to the fact that the Democrat Party has failed Black America, and it's time now for Black America to give it up, give it over, and give in to a new life and a new living. Now, I want to ask you, you have created a project called Project Hood. Can you talk with America about Project Hood? Is this some type of midnight basketball thing or something?
Well, it's more than that. We live in a very tough neighborhood where there's a lot of gun violence. So our first initiative with Project Hood, and the Hood stands for Helping Others Obtain Destiny. Our goal is to stop violence one neighborhood at a time. And in doing that, we look at educational issues, economic issues, social issues, and spiritual issues. And we provide a number of programs to help young people and young adults to change their lives and turn their lives around. And so we do several things in the summer. We try to provide alternatives and options and opportunities so that people so their lives can be enhanced. So we really have a wonderful outreach, and we're working on trying to take Project Hood across the country, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to do that. And I think when we do, you'll see a lot of organizations starting to move in a more positive direction to help solve some of the gun violence that we're experiencing in the cities across America.
All right, Pastor Corey Brooks is online. We have a caller from the District of Columbia. Your question, comment, or concern from the conservative pastor, Corey Brooks.
Well, I just wanted to commend Pastor Brooks on the valiant stand that he's taking. I just want to be him when I grow up. Kudos to the wonderful work you're doing in the city of Chicago.
Oh, well, thank you, and God bless you, man. We appreciate it. And if you're ever in Chicago, stop by New Beginnings Church. We'd love to meet you.
I would love to come by. In fact, I will be there July 31st for a conference that Dr. Eric Wallace is sponsoring there in Chicago with keynote speakers Dr. Ben Carson and also Governor Mike Huckabee. And greetings from Dr. Eric Wallace as well. We've been kind of following what you've been doing, and I'm just got to say I'm truly excited to see more and more lion chasers standing up and speaking truth to power. Pastor, you are not alone. Ken and I trumpet this message day in and day out here in our nation's capital. It's wonderful to see that it's gaining traction across this great nation. God's rising up men and women of faith that are bold enough to speak truth.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And I look forward to seeing you. I'll be at that event, matter of fact, with Eric Wallace. And so I'm looking forward to meeting you. And you guys are doing an awesome job with, and you're not alone. God is raising up people all across the country. We just got to start making the connections. And I'm glad we made this connection on tonight.
Praise God. That's Lonnie Poindexter from Freedom Journal Radio, also Urban Family Talk. Listen, you have struck a chord with America, but let me give you what America says about Lonnie, myself, and you. You are one of those Uncle Tom. You're just trying to get some attention. You are definitely not a social gospel type of preacher. You are the kind who doesn't care about the poor and doesn't care about the downtrodden. And you want to try to get over so you can get more white people into your congregation. I'm just being honest with you. That's what I hear.
Right.
So, Pastor, what is the gospel of Jesus Christ, and why are you using that to make a determination that conservatism and possibly the Republican Party are the choices for the inner city?
I tell people that at the end of the day, all that matters is the gospel. And the gospel it's Evangelion. It's the good news of Jesus Christ. It's about Jesus Christ dying on the cross and God raising him from the dead. I believe that wholeheartedly. And one of the reasons why I'm conservative is because I want the opportunity to be able to say that and say that proudly and stand on it proudly. And I've discovered that in a lot of liberal circles, to even mention the name Jesus, you're ostracized, you're a demagogue. And so I don't like that, and I don't want that to ever be the case with me. When people say accusations and things of that I know are not true, I try to disregard them and ignore them because I know at the end of the day, I'm going to have to stand before one person, and that's God. And I want to hear the Lord tell me, well done, good and faithful servant. And so all the stuff that the naysayers say and the haters say, I ignore it, and I just stay steadfast and unmovable because I want to please the Lord, and I want to please the Lord in a way by spreading the gospel to help transform inner cities across America. People's lives need to be changed, and a lot of the little things that we see going on right now, they are not changing lives for the better. They're changing lives for the worse. And so we've got to do everything we can to make sure that we advance our cause and advance conservative thoughts and to help people to rise to another level and to be more conscious in their thinking. And so Jesus Christ, for me, I believe is the way to do that. And that's one of the reasons why I'm conservative.
Exactly. Holger Wakens from our chat room is asking, Pastor Brooks, how many preachers are there across America that agree with you?
I think there are a lot of pastors that agree with what I'm saying, and I think there are a lot of African American pastors that agree with what I'm saying, and they've been agreeing behind closed doors. But the problem has been they've been so we've been so trapped by our tradition that to go toward any other party has been something that we have tended not to do. But I believe that God is really, for real, raising up a young group of guys and a group of Joshuas and Calebs that don't want to go with the majority. and they're not interested in the majority. So all across the nation, I'm meeting more and more guys. Every day I meet more and more people who, and especially pastors, who are saying, you know what, thank you, for speaking out. And I believe the same things, and it's making it easier for them to speak out now. I think that's what we have to do, continue to speak out and make our message clear and to communicate and let people know, hey, we're here, we're not going anywhere, we're not going to back down, we're not going to kowtow, we're not going to bow. And the more we can do that, I believe the better off we'll be.
You recently had Rand Paul visit your congregation, the senator from Kentucky, who is running for U.S. president. What was the reaction and from outside as well as inside your congregation?
Well, outside and inside, people were really surprised. I think once they heard Rand Paul talk and heard what of his views, that a lot of people were able to say, you know what, I believe those same things. And I think it was really, really beneficial, and it was a great educational experience for a lot of people in our neighborhood to hear that, hey, we're not too far like some people have made you to believe. And if we can ever get into the same common settings, then you can hear thoughts that are not too far from your thoughts. And so it was a great event, and the next event is going to be even greater. I wish I could announce tonight who it's going to be, but I can't because I promised them I would wait. But people are going to be amazed at the next person who is going to be on the south side of Chicago.
Listen, you are warming my heart. You're giving me hope, but you're also warming the hearts of a lot of down-low listeners. I have a lot of down-low Christian listeners and pastors who whisper in my ear. They wish they had that kind of courage. How can they get in contact with you or with various organizations like yours that would give them the courage, especially in the inner city of Chicago, where 161 people died in 151 days thanks to gun violence?
Right.
How can they connect with you because they are tired of being treated like a doormat by the local Democrat Party?
Right. Well, I tell people all the time who want to call me. My number is open. My email is open. They can call me at 312-813-5211. And I know some people may say, hey, he's crazy for getting out his cell phone. But I tell people, if you don't give your number out, how can people get in touch with you? So that's my direct line. And anybody who wants to call me, they can. And any pastor that I can help. I love pastors. I love men and women of God who are trying to communicate and further the gospel. So anybody who wants my help, I greatly want to be able to help them. So they can give me a call on my cell phone, 312-813-5211, or they can reach me by email, Pastor Corey B. Brooks @gmail.com. That's Pastor Corey B as in boy, my last name Brooks, BROOKS @gmail.com, and that's Corey COREY, Pastor Corey B. Brooks @gmail.com.
I look forward to personally meeting you in Chicago for that particular event on the 31st. And I just thank God because when I saw the Project Hood, when I saw the information, because recently my daughter was shot and killed on the way home as an innocent bystander, when I saw that you were reaching out and providing a reward for solving a case in your neighborhood, I just became immensely in love with you, man. And I wish you the wholehearted very best, and I look forward to serving with you in Chicago.
Well, bless you, and thank you so much. And, let people know if they want to give to our project, they can go to our website, projecthood.org, projecthood.org, and they can find out about all the wonderful work we do. But most of all, they can contribute to the programs and to the helping us build a community center and to helping make sure we still are able to give out rewards to help families to catch people who victimize their families.
Exactly. Project Hood, helping others obtain destiny. We're putting that in our chat roll. We're encouraging people to pick up the phone and get in contact with the organization, or at least 773-326-4215. That number is 773-326-4215. Or go to the website, projecthood.org. Make your donation. Encourage the work of Pastor Corey Brooks, And that means from around the world, he's open to receiving your support and your help. He has a big Father's Day event coming up in June. Am I correct, sir?
Yes, sir. Big Father's Day event coming up in June. It's going to be outside. And hopefully one of our guests for our presidential series is going to be there, but I can't tell who it is right now.
Big day. We are glad that you shared the gospel with us and also your hope and aspirations for the inner city, sir. God bless you. We thank you.
Bless you, too. Thank you so much. And anytime you want me on, just give me a call. And I appreciate you guys so much. Keep doing the great work to help the people out.
Thank you. We definitely will, Corey. We definitely will. Pastor Corey Brooks, Real Inner City Change. When I come back, I will talk with you about a very special day that today is, and also give a brief comment from this interview here as to why preachers of today are so ashamed of the good news of Jesus Christ. We'll be right back with more of the best in urban conservative talk right after these messages.
September 2012, American pastor Saeed Abedini was arrested while building orphanages in Iran. Since then, he has been sentenced to 8 years in one of Iran's toughest prisons. His charges? Sharing his Christian faith in homes across Iran. Help us share his story. Sign a petition at SaveSaeed.org. Help us reach 300,000 signatures to present to the UN and the Council of Europe Commissioner of Human Rights. Your signature could save a life. Save Saeed. Sign our petition at SaveSaeed.org. Share this story with hashtag SaveSaeed.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on some immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work there too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio. The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Right. Gonna be a right swipe. This man has shaved his chest hair into a heart. Oh. It's all mine. Right swipe.
Right swipe.
That sounds like my sister.
It does.
Oh, no, she's not.
He's cuddling a kitten.
God, I want to eat their faces.
Oh, she's hot.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh.
That's a lollipop. Oh, that is not a lollipop.
Left swipe.
Left swipe.
It must be some kind of shock. It's you're gone in a cloud of smoke. I just left white, bye-bye. I just left white.
Left white that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
white that.
You gotta swipe it left. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left white that.
Look at you with your shirt off, flexing. You're buff, but you puff, hashtag perplexing. Yeah, you worked out, you're in shape, okay. I like the six-pack abs, not the 6 packs a day.
Came across a photo of his green-eyed hottie. Whole nine, pretty face, tight waist, nice body. Hottie! I just couldn't overlook one small fact. She smokes like an old man at a racetrack.
This must be some kind of shock, but you think you're my type. Hope you're gone in a cloud of smoke. I just left white, bye-bye. I just left white.
Left white that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it left.
Left white that.
You gotta swipe it left. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left white that.
Mr. World Traveler, your trips look expensive. Sitting on a mountaintop looking all pensive. I was about to ask, how's the air up there? But based on this pic, I guess you don't really care.
Lots of chicks in the pic, not sure which one's you. Them cigarettes are taking off from 10s to 2s. And one thing's true about your whole crew. None of you cigarella's gonna be my boo.
Smoking with a tiger?
Left white that.
While you're on a hang glider?
Left white that. Smoking while acting healthy. Left white that.
Smoking all stealthy?
Left white that. Smoking with a duck face. Left white that.
At a monster truck race?
Left white that. Smoking at the prom. Left white that.
Even in a photo bomb?
He don't care. Left white that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
white that.
You gotta swipe it left. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left white that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah. Hashtag.
I'll never remember you.
Drinky drink time, baby.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. You didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying Catholic, stupid.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sako as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to welcome you back to the Acceptable Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. That's Washington, D.C., you and me. I want to really thank, and I am extremely honored by the fact that Pastor Corey Brooks came on this particular program. What a way to kick butt. I don't know if you had an opportunity to see the live stream video of my daughter Shanice Milton's funeral on Saturday. But a rising in my spirit was that this was not going to be just another murder. A couple of days later, news is gone, lights are off, and the story has gone away. We are going to change America. I know it looks bleak. I know. You can show me the numbers. I know without a fact that 98% of black Americans vote Democrat. I know that 93% of them voted last time for President Obama. I know that almost 20% of them work for the federal government. I know that we only make up 13% of the U.S. population in Poland. I know. But I also know that people are tired. People are tired of the same old answers and the same old responses. It's just another government program. It may be just another meeting. If we only get another meeting, we can change all of this. I am telling you today, and Lonnie will be on at 10:10 this evening. I am telling you today, this nation is never going to be the same. I know they're trying to find a pool party to distort and distract your attention. But that's okay. I want you to find as many pool parties as you possibly can, because I will say it for as long as I live. My daughter did not die at the end of the muzzle of a white police officer. She died because two black cowards, one held her as a gang member and the other shot her as a gang member and left her to die on the cold pavement of Washington, D.C. Yeah, that won't be forgotten. And I, as her father, will do everything I possibly can to get this case solved. I want you to know right now that there are 31 unresolved homicide cases in the District of Columbia. 31. Now, you're probably thinking that we've had about 100 killings this year, maybe. Maybe we've had as many as Chicago. And that's why we have so many unresolved cases. Maybe if it wasn't for that quadruple murder uptown and it took a lot of resources away, we would be able to resolve those cases. Let me explain to you something. There have only been 50 homicides in the District of Columbia. 50 homicides. For those of you following along at home, a homicide is someone shooting and killing you, or stabbing and killing you, or doing something to kill you. That's a homicide. There have only been 50, 50, and 31 of them have gone unsolved. That's not a police problem. That's not a government problem. That's not an economic problem. That's not an educational problem. That, my friends, is an individual and family problem. That, my friends, is a faith problem. And when you have ministers who have fallen in love with idolatry of the government through the 501c3, they will bow down and cow to any contract that comes in to give them just a little bit money, more money so they can build a little bit better church. I tell you this, they are no better than the casket that held my daughter. For they are part of the four walls that are constantly allowing our children to die in the streets while they begin to give not a gospel of Jesus Christ message, but a message of vain human philosophy based on the idealism of feminism, based on the ideas of black liberation theology, based on the ideas that you can self-identify yourself with whatever and whomever, and Jesus will accept you just the way you are. Because remember now, Jesus loves you just the way you are. I want you to understand something. As you study the scriptures, Jesus may have loved you, but he never left you unchanged. And for so many people in urban America, preaching change would require people to get up out of the poverty rate of falling over themselves to apply for Medicaid, and falling over themselves to apply for Social Security, and falling over themselves to apply for welfare, and possibly get up and walk in freedom, and walk in liberty, and walk in justice, not depending on Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson or some other poverty-producing pimp to come along and march you around four corners of a room and tell you it's going to get better. No, it won't get better until faith leaders, until pastors like Corey Brooks, until ministers of the faith get up off their gluteus maximus and actually prepare a sermon based on what they have studied throughout the week, because they have read the scriptures, and not open up a little book and read from it and call themselves gifted orators. I'm telling you right now, this won't change until they change. And they won't change until I change them. I am their change agent. And I'm going to hold them accountable. And every night I'm on this show, every night you give me the opportunity, every night my voice go out, it will change America. I remember when there were only a few people listening to me. Now they're estimating that hundreds of thousands of people are listening to me. And I tell you what, until the day I die, I'm going to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ, and I'm going to preach change to America. And that change can only come when you let go of the castration of the black man through the liberal policies America until you let go of the Marxist theorem that have women believing they can do bad by themselves and actually do bad by themselves. Until you get rid of the socialist philosophies that you can have infanticide a child or allow them to die on the street or get rid of the elderly because they are a waste of time, a waste of energy, and a waste of money. I tell you this, those are the things I face as my enemy as I go into the pulpits of America. Those are the things I face when I go and talk to people in the church. They are so used to believing in Jesus as far as the four walls. And when they walk out, they believe in Obama. I am telling you right now, as far as my voice can go, as loud as my voice can get, as effectual as my prayers can become, we are going to change America over my dead body. If it happens, I don't care. But America will be changed, and so will the inner city. Our children will no longer be the specimen for government and government officials. Our parents will have control over their households. And you, my friend, the individual, will not be censored because you have an alternative view, and you will not be censored because you believe in Jesus Christ. The government officials today are no better than those ISIS individuals who have kidnapped 88 people who are Christian and ready to kill them. Trust me, if they get rid of marriage on June 30th of this month, I assure you they're coming for you. We're going to change America, and I hope that you're with me. We'll be back. Second half. Kickoff right after this.
Welcome to an Economic Minute. I'm Dr. Brooks Robinson. Today we ask, why are there so few black banks? According to the Federal Reserve Board, the agency responsible for regulating the banking industry, there are only 26 black-owned banks in the United States at the end of 2011. That's one bank for every 1.5 million black Americans. You should know that banks must be chartered at the state level, and it takes about $20 million to organize a bank in most states. The first reason that there are so few black banks is because blacks find it difficult to amass the $20 million required to start a bank. The second reason is that few blacks study finance and are prepared to manage and operate banks. A third reason is that given the black unemployment rate and blacks' credit histories, it may not appear profitable to establish black banks in large black communities. Fourth, many blacks fail to patronize black banks where they exist. It is unfortunate that black Americans can organize and build multi-million-dollar churches in poor black communities, but we find it difficult to create black banks, the very institutions that can help transform our communities. Remember, improving your understanding of economics helps you improve the quality of your life. With an Economic Minute, I'm Dr. Brooks Robinson.
Time for an unpleasant blind guy conservative bite. 27-year-old Charnice Milton, reporter for the Capital Community News, was shot to death on Wednesday night, May the 27th. Charnice Milton was at a bus stop returning home from covering a story when a man on a dirt bike began shooting at another man near her who took hold of Charnice Milton and used her as a human shield. Charnice Milton died of gunshot wounds as a result. As of this recording, neither of Charnice Milton's murderers have been found. Charnice Milton joins thousands of black people in the United States of America, victimized every year by black-on-black crime. That's right, a white guy is going to talk about black-on-black crime. Deal with it. This state of affairs is largely ignored by establishment media, while progressive pundits and academicians roll out the excuses that suit them best politically. Charnice Milton was not killed because of the oppression of slavery on the North American continent from the 17th through the 19th centuries, or Jim Crow through the 19th and 20th centuries. She was not killed because white people haven't paid every living black person reparations for the human rights abuses of those times. She was not killed because the United States of America has not adopted a completely socialistic economic system. She was not killed because all whites hate all blacks. She was not killed because white police officers are all black-killing bigots. She was not killed because of poverty. She was not killed because of the availability of guns. And she sure as hell was not killed because of global warming. Johnese Milton was killed because criminals commit crimes. Black-on-black crime is not committed because of lack of opportunity. It is committed because of lack of character. It is committed because there is a lack of education of young black people, that they are capable of character, and that they are responsible for themselves and for all other people. When a young person is not taught to have character, often they have none. Empathy for others and the common good is not achieved through osmosis. It's taught in our homes. It's taught in our churches. It's taught in our schools. And if it isn't being taught there, it needs to be. People, I am sick of black-on-black crime. And even more so, I am sick of the establishment media who ignores it. Angela Davis said a long time ago that there was a genocide of black people in the United States of America. She was right, but for the wrong reasons. The genocide goes on because the elites see black people only as potential voters. It's time for it to stop. It's time for our society to begin teaching the merits of character once again. This has been an unpleasant blind guy, Conservative Bites.
Don't stop feasting on the flavor of urban conservative talk. Go to theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. There you can Facebook us, tweet us through Twitter, download our podcast and our mobile app. Listen, take us wherever you go. Welcome to the best in urban conservative talk, live from the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show with your host, Ken McClinton.
God bless you. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism. What is the power of liberation? First to the Republican and then the Democrat. Yours truly, Ken McClinton, here at the helm. And our live stream, the beautiful and lovely Francine, Mrs. Peaches, Mrs. Giggs, is at the helm there. And thank you so much for watching. And, of course, none other than the great and beautiful Mary Brockton, who is my bouncer. If you kiss her, you kiss me, you will be dismissed. In the chat roll at theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. Wonderful conversation with Pastor Corey Brooks of New Beginnings Church in Chicago. If you're not getting the message this week, you will get the message. A lot of people in Washington, D.C. are beginning to listen to this show on the DL, and that's fine. Listen to it on the DL. I want to present to you the army that's coming towards you. Don't look. Laugh. Roll on the floor. All these Uncle Toms. All these anti-bombers. Oh, roll all over the floor. Go ahead. I want you to roll. I want you to look at us as if we are the vagabonds that will be coming either to garner the food that is in your tent or die, or stay in the city and die. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I want you to look at us. But you're going to be quite changed in a twinkle of an eye when you begin to see what the world looks like when conservatives stop laying down and waiting for someone to invite them to the party. Dr. Bush Robinson will be with us on Thursday night of this week. Dr. Bush Robinson is, of course, the director of blackeconomics.org. He's going to give us the cost of black-on-black crime, the real numbers. It's not being reported to you on TV and certainly not in your newspaper. Now, they don't want to tell you all that. Because then you might be disturbed. John Knott, thank you so much for the words. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Those are the words of the great Dr. Martin Luther King. Thank you so much for providing those for me tonight. And this second half of our program, the great Lonnie Poindexter will be joining us at 10:10. We're talking about the affairs and issues of the day. I want to thank not only Ralph Chitums, but also Lonnie Poindexter for being pallbearers on Saturday. I love you guys with all of my heart. And thank you so much for your support and being here during that particular time period of challenge. We are also working on, at this particular point, getting a very special guest. And let me just check the old newspaper mailbox. Find out if it's possible. Tomorrow night, we will have with us this man, Pastor Marcus Jarvis of AccessTV.org. Tomorrow night, 9:10 p.m. He is, let me actually just do this right here, because some of you all might not know who I'm talking about. And some of you are thinking that I'm just making all this stuff up. It's no way that America is going to be changed. I want you all to know that before Franklin Delano Roosevelt, only 20%, I think less than 20% of blacks voted Democrat. When Franklin Delano Roosevelt came to power, people switched. That's when the party switched. So if they could do it once, they can do it again. That's when you got the nearly 90%. You got 80-some-odd% voting for FDR. And then soon by the 1960s, it was 90%. Malcolm X said told all black people you were crazy for voting for Democrats in such a large block. They wouldn't listen to Malcolm X on that regard. So they certainly, some of them certainly won't listen to me, but there is a move of the Holy Spirit, and I'm telling you, change is coming. The black pastor told Al Sharpton, "You're nothing but a pimp," at Hartford, Connecticut yesterday. Yes, that guy will be on our show tomorrow night, 9:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to introduce you to some change agents. The inner city will never be the same. And you know what's happening also? Those people who are on the Democrat Party, who have been laying down, eating sufficely of all of the great grass, they'll understand that there are some lions who are ready to take the prey. And we will chew them up and we will spit them out. See, if I was on someone else's page and I said that about Democrats, but people be like, "Oh yeah, that's what, give them the meat, give them the meat." I'm telling you, from a point where it seems impossible, possible is about to happen. I'm just saying. So this week, and I will be looking into getting Bishop James Lowe on Wednesday night on my particular program. They're scared. I'm just telling you what the enemy is right now. They don't want to tell you that they are, but they're scared. They've never had such a compact African-American conservative, so intellectually skilled and such a great orator that he can either speak before doctors and lawyers or before the sheep of a congregation and drive them towards a conservative march. I'm telling you, they're afraid. They're simply afraid. And I want them to pay attention to me. I want them to look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Because what's going to happen is you're going to be looking at me so much, you're going to forget the guys on the side of me. And they're going to come around and they're going to take you in. The victory is the Lord's, and we're about to take it. So that's tomorrow night. But I also want to play this because this is a very important thing. Somebody asked me after I put this out earlier today. They said, Ken, Jim Crow and the Republicans voting against the KKK was 100 years ago. 100 years ago. Why is this so important? I understand. Yeah, I understand. But my retort to them was slavery was over 100 years ago. Why is that so important for today? Checkmate. If slavery is more important than what the KKK has done and the Democrats have done to black people, perish the thought that maybe you're still on that plantation, my brother. But this is a big day. This is an anniversary. Well, but on April 20th, 1871, I wanted to bring this up. That was the day that Republicans passed the Anti-KKK Act outlawing Democratic terrorist groups. April 20th, 1871. The Republicans passed the Anti-Ku Klux Klan Act outlawing Democratic terrorist groups. On April 20th, 1871, at the urging of President Ulysses Grant, Congress passed the Ku Klux Klan Act, also known as the Third Enforcement Act. The bill was a controversial expansion of federal authority designed to give the federal government additional power to protect voters. The act established penalties in the form of fines and jail time for attempts to deprive citizens of equal protection under the laws and gave the president the authority to use federal troops and suspend the writ of habeas corpus in ensuring that civil rights were upheld. Founded as a fraternal organization by Confederate veterans in Pulaski, Tennessee, in 1866, the Ku Klux Klan soon became a paramilitary group devoted to the overthrow of the Republican governments in the South and the reassertion of white supremacy. Through murder, kidnapping, and violent intimidation, Klansmen sought to secure Democratic victories in elections by attacking black voters and less frequently white Republican leaders. So, just saying, what is the best and most fundamental way to keep the oppressed oppressed? Is it not the opportunity to kidnap, murder, intimidate, to make them constantly under the oppression? Just saying. Yes. Yes, it is. And in fact, let me go through a timeline here. The Republicans have led the charge on civil rights and women's rights since instigating. And this is the stuff that they refuse to talk about. With me tonight is not only a great friend, a great member of our family. We've adopted him. And certainly women swoon at his very presence. Lonnie Poindexter, Freedom Journal radio host, is with us tonight. Thank you so much for coming on the air with us tonight, sir.
Well, thank you so much, brother. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your family. But I got to tell you, I had an ulterior motive. I figured looking at your waistline that your lovely wife is a great cook, and I'm just trying to get my daughter at the table.
Your feet get ready to get under that table, man. I assure you. She's looking forward to cooking for me. Thank you, and Ralph, and so many others, man. I'm telling you, you all have been out there on the firing lines. You have been fighting with me. You have been present and accounted for when everyone else said it was impossible and that nothing would come of this, and why are you all going through this? Why don't you just be like everybody else and allow the news to go away, the press to go away, the lights to go off, and forget about Sharnice? You didn't. And I really appreciate you, and I love you for it, sir.
Well, brother, I just want you to know, as you mentioned earlier in the show, in this segment, that who you want on your flanks. And if you look to your left flank or your right flank, you got either me standing side by side with you, shoulder to shoulder, or Reverend Ralph Chittims, or many of the other wonderful brothers that I've met just because of my association with you. So we're standing. We're not the let's just put it this way: we don't scur easy, and we're just crazy enough to believe God and His Word and what He says, and we're going to stand. And yes, we are going to win this battle. They have seen nothing yet. If they think the salvos that have been fired at us are going to impede our progress, it's just going to re-embolden us to continue to press forward.
Exactly, indeed. Sir, what has been on your mind recently regarding news and things of that particular nature, things of most notable interest from Freedom Journal Radio?
Well, certainly what's been on my mind and ever present in the last several days is due to the tragedy that struck your family, and I've been speaking on it just about daily on the show. It speaks to the events taking place across this great nation with families all across this nation that are having to swallow those bitter pills because of what's taking place in our urban communities. And I want to be able to do something, not symbolically, do something that will bring systemic change. And so that's what's been foremost on my mind. The current events continue to spool up. You know, the false narrative continues to, of those with the other agenda, they continue to push this false narrative, and any opportunity that they can to do so, they do it. You mentioned prior in the show the incident in outside of Dallas, Texas, at the pool party that went horribly wrong, and you can bet your bottom dollars Messer Sharpton in Jackson will be there, and the media bandwagon's already there in force, laying out an air cover to really stir up the pot, and these guys get there, and before long, I suspect if we don't do what we do, and I'm sure we will, you'll see protests and marches based on something that's completely erroneous, but that's just me.
Yeah, sincerely, most people have not looked at the full video, number one, which was 30 minutes long, not 7, which focused on the police officer. Number two, the police officer, being the authority person when he arrived on the scene, advised the young lady to get down on the ground, and she chose to rail against him. I got a question for you on this one, and maybe he was a little rough. But then again, and most certainly drawing his weapon, certainly out of character for the rest of the group that was with him. But when does the authority of the state begin? Aren't the police supposed to be the enforcement arm? And at that time period, the expectation is when they arrive, everything stands still, and we submit to the right of the state.
Well, as I'm sure you know, my brother, there's a general absence of respect for authority in the nation today. And I had a chance. I haven't watched the full video, but I did catch the 7 minutes. And even within that, if you look closely, you can see the seeds of discord that are there. And I think I don't know if you or someone else had pointed out in social media that even when he was dealing with the young lady who could continue to holler, I want my mom, instead of complying with what that officer was asking her to do, and the others, the young man that ran up on him out of his peripheral vision, and then ran off when he pulled his service weapon and then began to chase him and then backed off. police have a difficult job, especially today, because you just have this disrespect. I was talking about on my show this morning, Tim, that when I came up, and I've got a few years on me, I was taught a way to handle myself regardless of my age. And I've heard people try to defend this, these individuals, well, they're young, they're only 15, and kids will be kids. Let me tell you something. Anytime I had any interaction with law enforcement growing up as a child in Southern California, it was yes, sir, no, sir. If they told me to do something, I sat down.
Yeah.
If they told me to go left, I went left. If they told me to go right, I went right. I was told that by my father from a very, very young age. And today you just don't have that. Now, I understand why it's done because, media and so forth today paints this other picture. And we have the so-called things where I know my rights and all this types of thing. But common sense should prevail. And maybe I'm just old school, but, I was taught that anybody that has the legal authority to shoot you if they deem it appropriate is somebody you should probably give a whole lot of respect to.
Exactly. And much of what's going on is this great approach. You know what happened in Cleveland with them going under the guide of the Federal Department of Justice. The same thing's happened in New Mexico and in other cities across the country where the federal government has taken over and virtually moving towards a nationalized police force.
There it is.
Does it matter if the police force is nationalized or not, if there's anarchy in the land?
Well, let me tell you something, brother. If they are successful in accomplishing that path, which you and I both know that's the agenda, you can kiss goodbye whatever rights that you think that you have today, because those rights will be dependent on whoever's in power, in office at the time, if power is centralized into a national police force. The beauty of, for our listeners that aren't aware of this, the beauty of local policing is that if you are not happy with the policing that you're getting, you can get new police standards, new police leaders, and so forth, because you have the power to vote appointees and so forth. If you don't like them, throw the bums out and get people that you do like. To get a nationalized police force, all that goes out the window.
Exactly. Now, I also want to ask you, because you know how provocative I am. If you attended the service on Saturday, you know how provocative I can be. Give me a moment's notice. This message from Barack Hussein Obama today, I want you to tell me, is this the most unsettling thing you have heard from this particular administration? Let me roll it right here.
We have made significant progress in pushing back ISIL from areas in which they had occupied or disrupted local populations. But we've also seen areas like in Ramadi where they're displaced in one place and then they come back in another. And they're nimble, and they're aggressive, and they're opportunistic. So one of the areas where we're going to have to improve is the speed at which we're training Iraqi forces. Where we've trained Iraqi forces directly and equipped them, and we have a train and assist posture, they operate effectively. Where we haven't, morale, lack of equipment, etc., may undermine the effectiveness of Iraqi security forces. So we want to get more Iraqi security forces trained, fresh, well-equipped, and focused. And President Abadi wants the same thing. So we're reviewing a range of plans for how we might do that, essentially accelerating the number of Iraqi forces that are properly trained and equipped and have a focused strategy and good leadership. And when a finalized plan is presented to me by the Pentagon, then I will share it with the American people. It's not, we don't yet have a complete strategy because it requires commitments on the part of the Iraqis as well about how recruitment takes place, how that training takes place. And so the details of that are not yet worked out.
I would say that additional military personnel, U.S. military personnel, are part of what's under consideration.
I think what is fair to say is that all the countries in the international coalition are prepared to do more to train Iraqi security forces if they feel like that additional work has been taken advantage of. And one of the things that we're still seeing is in Iraq, places where we've got more training capacity than we have recruits. So part of my discussion with Prime Minister Abadi was, how do we make sure that we get more recruits in? A big part of the answer there is our outreach to Sunni tribes. We've seen Sunni tribes who are not only willing and prepared to fight ISIL, but have been successful at rebuffing ISIL. But it has not been happening as fast as it needs to.
Lonnie Poindexter, Freedom Journal Radio Network. We have more training capacity than we have recruits. Is that maybe because ISIS is kicking butt and putting the fear of Allah into the Iraqis?
I love the way you put that, and I would wholeheartedly agree, because I think the core issue is the recruits or potential recruits have no confidence in American leadership as things have been handled over in that part of the world, and that's one of the big reasons why they have difficulty finding people. You got to know, if you're going to put your skin in the game, that the folks that are rolling with you will roll with you and not going to step away and abandon you at some point. Otherwise, you go find other things to do and other places to live. And in light of this JV team, who seems to really be kicking some you-know-what over there.
You know, it's amazing. Getting into Iraq again, he blamed the intelligence agencies for having to go back into Iraq.
He didn't blame Bush?
Yeah, and Bush. And he's literally blaming Bush because this is his army, his military. He's blaming the military for not having a plan of action. Is this the scariest leader in all of the world? Is he the most incompetent leader in all of the world?
Well, you know, I use the word all the time in describing the new daddy, as Star Parker coined, big government. And I think that the leader of the free world we have today is a postcard picture of what she describes as that new daddy, in that the chief characteristic of the new daddy, which would be nanny government, is it's very narcissistic. And I think there's narcissism. It's never going to be his fault. He's not going to take the heat for anything. You know, it can't be, hey, I blew it, guys. You know, I called on the JV team, but we're going to regroup and we're going to over and handle business. It's going to be other individuals always going to have to take the fall on their sword.
So could this also be, Lonnie, and we're going to give you a chance to tell everybody where they should listen tomorrow for your show, but could his behavior have carried over into our culture where individuals who refuse to get on the ground when the police tell them to, or feel that they can actually charge a police officer after he's told them to freeze, has it gotten to the point where narcissism is so great that you could never be at fault for any of your actions, and those in authority are actually the ones at fault for everything that you do?
Well, I have one word for you: ditto. I think that's exactly what we have. You know, so as the head does, the body follows. I think what a lot of people don't understand is, and the Word of God certainly bears this out, is the leader that you have in place sets the tone for the rest of the nation that he governs over. If you got a godly king, the people, that might screw the scripture up, the people certainly are glad and they're blessed, but when you have an ungodly king, the people groan under the burden of dealing with those types of the choices that are made that are adverse to the blessing within that community. Certainly we have that today. I think anyone that takes a cursory look at where we are as a nation, you have an individual that talks about how much better America is, yet all the economic indicators say something different. But because the media agrees with him, he thinks he's on point.
Yeah. How can people listen to your wonderful program, Freedom Journals Radio, on the Urban Family Talk Network?
Well, we broadcast daily at urbanfamilytalk.com. That's urbanfamilytalk.com. We're also on 7 terrestrial radio stations where you can listen to us if you happen to be driving, and that's in Mississippi, in Cleveland, Madison, Tupelo. We're in Norwood, Georgia, Rossford, Ohio, Toledo, Ohio, Boise, Idaho, and our network is growing as we speak. And you can all be caught worldwide over the internet as well. So thank you so much for allowing me to come on your show, brother. Really appreciate it. I can be caught, by the way, on Twitter at Lonnie Poindexter, and that's Lonnie, Lonnie, and Poindexter is Poindex. Catch me on Facebook at Lonnie Poindexter. Urban Family Talk is also our Facebook fan page for the radio show as well. And tune in, listen in daily. I got to tell you guys, I stole all kind of great quotes from Ken, so I sound real good on my show. You're wondering where I get all that good stuff from. It's from him.
Hardly. You're a genius, Lonnie, and I really appreciate your friendship, your love for my family. And soon there is a dinner table that will be open for you to come put your feet under. And you will enjoy gaining the girth that I have over the years of my marriage. God bless you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, Lonnie Poindexter, tune in tomorrow. I will be with him tomorrow at noon, talking about the issues of the day. And when we return, I want to talk with you about how unsettling it is in the world for the President of the United States to stand before men and to say, I don't have a plan.
Hello to the Exceptional Conservative Show and an American Conservative exploration of the inspired Word of God. This is CEO and founder of Spirit Soul Radio Network. Would like to welcome you, our radio family, and host Kenneth McClinton to the network family of Spirit Soul Radio. We are excited to have you, sir, and to have you, family, joining us on our network. Make sure you tune in to the Exceptional Conservative Show with host Kenneth McClinton, airing Mondays through Thursdays, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Spirit Soul Radio Network at www.spiritsoulradionetwork.blogspot.com, and tune into an American Conservative exploration of the inspired Word of God with host Kenneth McClinton every Sunday at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We want to hear you there.
Whether it's calling Nick on the hardtops of Washington, or lobbying missing in action congressmen at the Kennedy Center, or even escorting Nancy Pelosi to the John Boehner Establishment Party ball, no one, and I mean no one, knows the Constitution better than the Prince of Classical Liberal Talk, the underground professor, Dr. Michael E. Jones. His new schedule on Pundit Press Media and Blog Talk Radio, Sunday, 5 to 8 p.m. Central, and Tuesdays and Fridays, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central. Take the thoughts of the founders and framers, the organic guiding documents of our founding, and what we have learned from history, and apply it to the current events of our lives, and there you have it, Freedom Studies 101. Listen, UGB Radio is your school for remedial conservative studies. Come and explore the depths and the values of a free society and limited government. Pundit Press Media, Blog Talk Radio, Sundays, 5 to 8 p.m. Central, Tuesdays and Fridays, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Get it while it's hot.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on some immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late night conservative talk, Hackheads Radio. The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying capitalist.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Saki as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
For my BTR family, I'm in charge of production, so I screwed up. Ladies and gentlemen, just want to let everyone know that tomorrow at 9:10 p.m. Eastern Time on the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., Pastor Marcus Jarvis of XSTV.org will be appearing with us and talking about his rebuke, his public rebuke, in a church in Hartford, Connecticut, of the quote-unquote, air quote people, air quote, Reverend Al Sharpton for being a pimp as he tried to extort $100 from every congregant who was sitting in a pew, no matter how poor they were, towards his organization. Ladies and gentlemen, don't you just love the boldness that's in the world right now?
As we stroll along together, holding hands, walking all alone, so in love, are we new that we don't know, so in love, in a world of our own, as we walk by the sea together, under stars twinkling high above, so in love are we two, no one else but me and you, so in love, so much in love, so in love, so much in love, we stroll along together. I tell you, I need you so much. I love you, my darling. Can you tell me in my touch as we walk down the aisle together? We will vow to be together till
I hope you realize that you mean so much to me. You're everything I ever wanted in a woman. Touch, feel your body close to me. I just want to hold you in my arms forever. As we walk down the aisle together, we will vow to be together till we die. So in love are we two, just can't wait to say I do. So in love are you and I. So in love are you and
Wow, all for one, so much in love. And honey, I'm still so much in love with you. 16 years of marriage. I am just grateful that you open the door at night and let me in. Actually, you don't. I have a key, and you haven't changed the lock. But I'm glad you haven't changed the lock. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what all the excitement is about LeBron James, playing hard for Cleveland, besides the fact that he's probably the only member on their team. Everyone else is injured, right? So I guess congratulations, but I don't think that's going to hold up. I'm expecting the Golden State Warriors to walk away with the championship. Don't hold me to it. I've been pretty right before when it comes to these particular things. Independence Day, July 4th. Hold Your Awakens will be having his comeback appearance one time only on July 4th. That's right, July 4th, Hold Your Awakens show. So be prepared for it. It is Independence Day. We're looking forward to a wonderful, wonderful presentation. So stay tuned, BTR fans, and all others. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a wonderful, wonderful show. But I'm going to make it really ugly very fast. And the reason why I want to make it ugly very fast is because there are people who are listening to me now on the down low who are trying to figure me out, wondering if I'm going to zag when I zig or zig when I zag. They understand that I'm a conservative, and they agree with me on my morals and my character. They just, what you're talking about, Ken, is beholden to tearing down the altars to our traditions and our romance and religion towards the progressive agenda. So I want y'all to keep staring at me. I'm building a case here. At this 10:40 hour, I'm building a case. Barack Obama, in the summer of 2014. Already ISIS is existing. ISIS is kicking butt. But I just want to bring it to you. In the summer of 2014, this is Obama talking about his strategy for ISIS.
I have consulted with Congress throughout this process. I am confident that as Commander-in-Chief, I have the authorities to engage in the acts that we are conducting currently. As our strategy develops, we will continue to consult with Congress, and I do think that it'll be important for Congress to weigh in. But I don't want to put the cart before the horse. We don't have a strategy yet.
Okay, just want you to know, I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse, even though I suppose if we were experiencing the eco-cleansing of America, the global warming evidence of America, we would actually be in a cart and horse era. But just to basically use metaphor for the sake of comparison. We don't want to put a cart in front of the horse. We don't really know that much about ISIS, besides the fact that they're kicking butt and they're no longer in Jay-Z team. And I don't, this is summer 2014, I don't have a plan. That's kind of like spending $200 million to build a train to nowhere. And then come out and say, I'm going to finish building it. That's like coming out and saying, I'm going to put $100 million down on affordable housing and have absolutely no control over what is affordable. But nevertheless, nothing like a progressive to let you know with great confidence that while we do not have a plan of action, a plan of action is coming soon. What are you saying on the left? Back during that summertime, what did you say? I'm sorry.
Really, sort of, this is the president that doesn't beat the war drum, but you have to wonder exactly what message he was sending here today. Let's be very clear. ISIS heard all of this. So the President of the United States says we have no strategy yet. This is a little surprising because, of course, the Pentagon has openly acknowledged they are working on military options. Military options to pursue what strategy? There must be something out there. Or what are these options that the Pentagon's been scribbling away at for weeks now? Where are they really headed? The President talked about degrading ISIS, but remember, it was Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel just a couple of days ago that said ISIS was like no threat we've ever seen. There has been concern about a homeland threat from ISIS down the road, and yet no strategy to deal with it. Very blunt, very honest, absolutely where the President is on all of this, no question about that, but perhaps worth remembering that ISIS fighters, ISIS leadership will hear this statement that the U.S. right now has no strategy to deal with them. I don't think anybody thought a military strategy was the whole answer, but no strategy, a little odd, perhaps. On Ukraine, the same thing. The problem is he has perhaps now sent Putin a message. No one thought the U.S. was going to send troops into Ukraine to fight the Russians, but was there any middle ground? The Ukrainians have been asking for U.S. arms. The Pentagon, the State Department, not willing to go that far. So I'm not sure where all of this leaves us today, other than to say it seems in both cases nothing's happening for a while.
Jim Acosta at the...
Wow. Apparently the people on the left, you're not supposed to say that. We're going to go cut that commercial. You'll never be on this program again. You're not on the team. You're not supposed to say that Obama doesn't have a plan. And that you're concerned. He's the commander-in-chief of the greatest military force God has ever put on the face of the earth. We have more resources than any nation, and most nations put together. If it were not for us, there'd be no NATO. If it were not for us, Russia would already have access to the Atlantic. What are you trying to say here, huh? He knows what he's doing. He's just playing a little give and take here. Don't worry about it. He knows what he's doing. He's got a plan. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we are told that while he has no plan, he's going to get with the right people and as a Chicago community organizer, organize a plan that has to deal with foreign policy. I've seen the mean guys on the street of Chicago, and I know how to fight them. I'll develop a plan with the Pentagon so that I can fight them. So apparently, the tough guy, the man who wears women's jeans while riding a bike, the man who throws like a little girl the first opening pitch of season, this guy, you know the guy, this guy is going to come up with a strategy, working with the intelligence agencies, and also working with, catch up with me, working with the Pentagon. I'm going to come up with a plan. And so, he came up with a plan. Okay? This is his plan. Just want to make it very plain to you. He has a plan. I know a lot of you think that he doesn't have a plan, but Obama certainly does have a plan. Here it is.
We have made significant progress in pushing back ISIL from areas in which they had occupied or disrupted local populations. But we've also seen areas like in Ramadi where they're displaced in one place and then they come back in another. And they're nimble, and they're aggressive, and they're opportunistic. So one of the areas where we're going to have to improve is the speed at which we're training Iraqi forces. Where we've trained Iraqi forces directly and equipped them, and we have a train and assist posture, they operate effectively. Where we haven't, morale, lack of equipment, etc., may undermine the effectiveness of Iraqi security forces. So we want to get more Iraqi security forces trained, fresh, well-equipped, and focused. And President Abadi wants the same thing. So we're reviewing a range of plans for how we might do that, essentially accelerating the number of Iraqi forces that are properly trained and equipped and have a focused strategy and good leadership. And when a finalized plan is presented to me by the Pentagon, then I will share it with the American people. It's not, we don't yet have a complete strategy because it requires commitments on the part of the Iraqis as well about how recruitment takes place, how that training takes place. And so the details of that are not yet worked out.
I'd say that additional military personnel, U.S. military personnel, are part of what's under consideration.
I think what is fair to say is that all the countries in the international coalition are prepared to do more to train Iraqi security forces if they feel like that additional work has been taken advantage of. And one of the things that we're still seeing is in Iraq, places where we've got more training capacity than we have recruits. So part of my discussion with Prime Minister Abadi was how do we make sure that we get more recruits in? A big part of the answer there is our outreach to Sunni tribes. We've seen Sunni tribes who are not only willing and prepared to fight ISIL, but have been successful at rebuffing ISIL. But it has not been happening as fast as it needs to.
So if we train the people that didn't show up faster, then we would have had a better opportunity to have fought back against those people that were actually showing up on the other side of the battlefield who are kicking our butts left and right. See, that's the difference between being a community organizer and a barbarian like George Bush. Me being able to put together no strategy has been a whole lot more successful than the Obama strategy of going in and actually killing people. So thank you very much. 2 shows a night we do this. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you right now, how can you be? And I started off the show talking about the KKK. We went through a segment where we were talking about the fact that the Democrat Party has failed Black America for over 50 years. We've talked about the fact that Black people have built altars of ideology to the progressive religion, God. We've talked about the fact that you have a commander-in-chief with the aptitude of Neil when it comes to the idea of military and diplomatic strategy. And he thinks the greatest lesson in all of this is to be able to berate the Coast Guard Academy for not falling in fighting global warming. The true culprit. If it were not for global warming, we would not have ISIS. It was global warming that created ISIS, and we must fight the real enemy, global warming. 2 shows a night, people. Now, you ask me, sir, as you are a Democrat listening to me on the down low, as you are an urban liberal listening to me on the down low, as you are a Black progressive who believes in the redistribution of wealth, you earned your PhD, and now you are a professor in a college telling these undergrads, these kids, that the only way that they're going to be successful is if they actually steal money from another person who actually earned it. You're going to tell me that he's the greatest military mind, he is the greatest commander-in-chief, he is the greatest leader America's ever had, and it's not because of the content of his character, gosh darn it, because of the color of his skin. And I'm supposed to fall in line with you and say, you know what? That's a pretty good guy. Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm going to ask you, Democrats, who have an opportunity to listen to me on the down low, and you also have the opportunity to yell and scream at me via Facebook, where your incompetence is glorified and often revealed. I'm going to tell you, this is your shot. Come back at me. Tell me, where am I wrong? That a man who has been in office for 6 years, fighting the same war for the past 6 years, doesn't have a plan. That's like the guy who goes over to the girl's house without the birth control, planning to have sex without her getting pregnant. Where's your plan, man? Where's your plan? So all I'm saying to you is, what you are saying to me, that because he is a black president, he is successful, because he is a black man, you're willing to follow him. He's the same guy who's telling you that he wants to force the Iraqis to recruit people who don't want to fight. That's the type of leadership you want in America? Well, by golly, you got it. We're $18 trillion behind the 8 ball as a result thereof. How's that global warming working for you and your kids, huh? How's that working for you? Keep on following the insolence, and I swear you will surely die. I tell you, you gotta love this man. You gotta love him. He's the only one. Now, George Bush has said after 6 years, I don't have a plan. Do you know what the Democrats would have said about him? There would have been an immediate election somewhere along the line. There would have been an impeachment somewhere along the line. What he just admitted to is a dereliction of duty. He told you with a certainty, a fact. It's not me coming on and lying about him. It's not Lonnie Poindexter. It's not anyone else coming on. This guy publicly admitted that I've been in office for 6 years and I've done nothing. And you still love him. And you hate me. You love him, but you hate me. That's a miracle. That's a gosh darn miracle. I tell you, you gotta love. You gotta love. Ladies and gentlemen, we gotta love this man. That's like if you hired somebody and they came into your office and said, you know, I know you just hired me yesterday, but I'm going to take a couple of months off. I'll be back when I feel like it. I'm certain, make sure the payments all go to my bank account while I'm out. You know, this man just told you, screw you. Screw America. I hope you get bombed tomorrow. I hope one of these TSA people allow one of the ISIS people to come through with a bomb. They won't catch them, and neither will I. Hey, forget about it. It's just war. Oh, my God. In 98, what it really speaks to is that IQ is not the quantifier for a presidency. Neither is being a lawyer or being a PhD from an Ivy League. In fact, we should all look upon those, ladies and gentlemen, because he says he has a high IQ. We've never seen the record. And it might have been part of that derivative in terms of the drug period. You know what I'm saying? But bottom line is, if you have a high IQ and you've gone to Ivy League school and you have a law degree, you should be excluded from being voted in as president of the United States because you obviously don't have a plan. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back tomorrow night with more of the best in urban conservative talk, and I swear more of the inconsequential presidency of the United States of America.
you.